If you enjoy crime thrillers or spy films, you will be enthralled with Dawood Ibrahim's life, which is no less than the stuff of Hollywood movies. The son of a police constable grows from Dongri hooligan to smuggler to killer to trans-continental crime syndicate mastermind. Having a dozen aliases and several phony passports while also being on India's and Interpol's most wanted lists, this man is one of the biggest drug smugglers India has ever produced. This is not the summary for a James Bond or a Jason Bourne movie. It is, in truth, the real story of Dawood Ibrahim. Stay with us till the end to know everything about India's most wanted gangster. Early life. Born on December 26, 1955 in Khed, Maharashtra, India, to a Konkani Muslim family, his father, Ibrahim Kaskar, was a Mumbai police head constable, while his mother, Amini B, was a housewife. He went to Ahmed Sailor High School, but stopped since his father could no longer afford it. Instead, he became involved in hooliganism and founded his own Dongri gang, which engaged in small-time smuggling and violence. This went on until he met up with the gang of Haji Mastan, the then reigning king of the underworld, after the latter smashed up two of Dawood's men. There was no turning back after that. In the 1970s, Dawood and his brother, Shabir Ibrahim Kaskar, founded the D Company, or Dawood Company, which was involved in every crime possible, from terrorism, murder, extortion, targeted killings, drug trafficking, and a variety of others. Dawood committed his first significant crime on December 4, 1974. He had supplanted one Bashu Dada as king of Dongri by this time, and he was surrounded by a bunch of equally obedient followers who were willing to go to any length to prove their devotion to him. Dawood's Ratnagiri relatives and his friends and strongmen were among them, each with his own set of skills. The gang had already begun causing problems for the Pathans and Haji Mastan's gang, while establishing themselves as a reliable smuggling ring. Biggest robbery of the decade. Haji Mastan Mirza hired Parthans to beat up two of the close cousins of Dawood, and when Dawood found that Mastan was behind this, he was filled with rage and vengeance. No one knew the reason behind Mastan's action, but it was clear that he had crossed into Dawood's territory. Dawood wished to exact revenge on Mastan, whom he believed had amassed enough fame by smuggling gold and silver. To exact vengeance, Dawood planned to act on a report that the courier would be transporting $200,000 belonging to Haji Mastan from Masjid Bundur to his Malabar Hill residence. With 8 boys carrying country-made revolvers and iron rods, he intended to accost the taxi in which the money was being transferred. Sher Khan and Syed Sultan, a towering bodybuilder who had achieved the titles of Mr. Bombay, Mr. Maharashtra, and Mr. India, were two of his major helpers on this mission. The next day after the successful mission, Dawood discovered that the money belonged to the Metropolitan Bank, not Haji Mastan. It was the biggest robbery in Mumbai in a decade. Dawood decided on the spur of the moment to deprive Mastan of this much of his hard-earned money as retaliation for the unjustified beatings and torture inflicted on two of his cousins. This was a matter of prestige for the Dongri youth, who felt obligated to avenge their comrades' beatings. Meanwhile, his father, Ibrahim Kaskar, a crime branch police constable at the time, was sent to a team tasked with apprehending the gang that had robbed the Metropolitan Bank of an enormous sum of money. To his surprise, he learned that his second son, Dawood, was the mastermind behind everything. He dragged Dawood back to his house and beat him with a belt, then took him to the police station and made him confess his crimes. Even though the police station had filed a robbery charge against Dawood and his company of 8, top crime branch officers gave him the option to assist them in bringing down the Pathan gang in Bombay, which he gladly accepted. D Company, or Dawood's group, was already involved in smuggling and gang violence at this point. The coming of age. When Dawood's brother, Shabir Kaskar, was assassinated by the Pathans, he waged one of the bloodiest gang battles ever and dethroned them. He also ordered the assassination of Samad Khan, the nephew of rival gang leader Karim Lala, in 1986. Haji Mastan had abandoned the criminal underworld for politics by this time. By 1988, Dawood Ibrahim was the undisputed leader of the Bombay Mafia, with D Company as the main gang. For the following 15 years, the prosecution against Dawood in the Metropolitan robbery dragged on. Except for Sher Singh, Syed Sultan, and Dawood, all gang members were acquitted by a trial court in 1989. In 1992, the police appealed to the High Court and the Supreme Court, which issued a non-bailable arrest order for Dawood. The Babri Masjid demolition in December 1992 and the accompanying deadly communal riots that murdered hundreds of Muslims was D Company's first step into terrorism. After being looked down upon on behalf of Muslims while also being under pressure from Pakistan's ISI to smuggle bombs and arms into India in exchange for access to Pakistan's water for smuggling purposes, D Company financed and carried out a series of bomb attacks across Mumbai on March 12, 1993, killing 257 people and injuring over 700 more. The Exile. Dawood was unable to return to India or the UAE after this, as the UAE has an extradition pact with India, so he relocated to Karachi, Pakistan. As Dawood was on the run as a fugitive and with important aid Chota Rajan forming his own gang of Hindu mafia members, the D Company split off. According to some Indian and Russian intelligence reports, D Company even gave a boat and weapons to the 10 terrorists who entered Mumbai by sea on November 26, 2008, and who were involved in Mumbai bombings, murdering 173 people in the process. One of the richest. According to Forbes, Dawood Ibrahim is one of the world's wealthiest and most dangerous gangsters of all time, with a net worth of almost $7 billion. Through D Company, Dawood's commercial interests span 15 nations on 3 continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa, while also possessing a very large number of Benami properties, which is land that has been purchased under a different person's name in different parts of the globe. Dawood is currently said to be living somewhere in Balochistan, Pakistan. According to an intelligence report, his former Karachi residence contained magnificent Swarovski crystal showpieces, a waterfall, a temperature-controlled swimming pool, a tennis court, a billiard court, and a running track, among many other facilities. His elegant outfits came straight from London's Savile Row. At the same time, the story of Dawood Ibrahim has long piqued Bollywood's interest. Many films have been made on Dawood and D Company, including Shootout at Lokhandwala, Shootout at Wadala, Once Upon a Time in Mumbai, and D-Day. As part of its worldwide sanctions program, the U.S. Treasury labeled Ibrahim a terrorist, thereby prohibiting U.S. financial institutions from interacting with him and seizing assets suspected to be under his control. In addition, the Treasury Department maintains a data page on Ibrahim that includes reports of his gang sharing and using smuggling routes from South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa with terrorist organization Al-Qaeda. Ibrahim's gang is also reported to be involved in large-scale drug shipments in the United Kingdom and Western Europe. The underground life. It has been a long time since Dawood's last appearance in public. Despite his disappearance, Mr. Ibrahim's numerous commercial ventures continue to thrive. Despite not having set foot in India in over a quarter century, he still leads India's largest criminal organization, which is a credit to both his economic skill and the loyalty he inspires. After abandoning his homeland after being charged with murder in 1984, he spent the following 2 decades in Dubai living a high life. However, the dramatic assassination of one of his accomplices in the lobby of Dubai's upscale Indian club in 2003 proved to be the final straw for Emirati authorities. Dubai, already under international pressure to act against a high-ranking criminal with ties to terrorism, quietly recommended to Mr. Ibrahim that it was time for him to leave his lavish lifestyle in the Gulf. Nothing has happened since then. Ibrahim was also not present at the reception of his daughter's wedding to the son of Javed Miandad, the legendary former captain of the Pakistan national cricket team at Dubai's Hyatt Hotel. For high society from all across the Arabian Sea, this was the celebrity event of the decade. Despite the presence of dozens of photographers, undercover journalists, and a busload of international intelligence officers, Dawood was nowhere to be seen. For his alleged role in the 1993 Bombay bombings, India and the United States designated him as a global terrorist in 2003, and a $25 million bounty was placed on his head. In addition, the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation and Forbes ranked him 3rd among the world's 10 most wanted fugitives in 2011, although he has since been removed from both lists. To escape FATF sanctions, the Pakistani government added Dawood and 87 others to the sanction list, though the Pakistani government rejects its involvement with one of the most wanted gangsters in the world. The booming business. His reluctance to appear in public is due to complicated judicial and geopolitical conditions rather than his criminal acts. Dubai's aspirations to convert itself into the new regional financial powerhouse relied heavily on good relations with the United States and India. But Dawood's presence jeopardized the Emirates' expanding business relations with India and political friendships with the United States. As a result, however, the Emirate refused to hand over Ibrahim to either Delhi or Washington and asked the Don to seek shelter somewhere else in a discreet manner. Even after Ibrahim's forced departure from the UAE, his capacity to conduct business was not affected by any means. From its headquarters in the central district of Dongri, his group, the D Company, still controls significant groups of Mumbai's underworld. Its impact spans from Gujarat to Delhi, encompassing significant swaths of Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and beyond. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content.